So I'm hoping now that the food coma is like fully kicked in, because here I'll get into some of the more details of what happened with the acquisition. So if I run into anything controversial, you'll be all sleeping, so we'll be able to skip straight through it. But I do want to give a little bit of specifics about what I talked about briefly earlier this morning, so that the community has a sense of what opportunity we have ahead of us and what did we actually get, and what maybe some of the challenges going forward for us to collaborate together and figure out how best to move forward. So the assets again were the trademark, the Lustre.org domain name, the intellectual property that was from the beginning through 2.0. Also came over some of the sustaining work we were talking about earlier, the 1.8. There's a 1.88 release that Oracle had committed to its customers that allows RHEL 6 for both the servers and the clients, and so we'll be completing that and releasing that. And then how do we unify that with the other 1.88 or not is a question that's open to all of us, and we're encouraging some feedback of what we do with 1.88. A couple other things that were more sort of internal things about the support tools and development tools that came over. So Nathan gave a really nice highlight of the process that we go through and the efforts that we put into Lustre, sustaining Lustre and actually developing on Lustre and making contributions and fixing Lustre. And so the tools that came over as part of that acquisition are extremely beneficial to our mission. And then there's a few other assets like the Bugzilla and the mailing lists, and we're seeking to get those things into the community as well. And the Oracle support contracts. So it was important for Oracle to make sure that their customers had a high level of service, and that their systems, that there was a considerable amount of investment that was done under Sun, and that you can't just shut that off. And so we were able to resolve the challenges of sustaining their support contracts. So the question that's been coming up for the last couple of months frequently when I've gone out and said, you know, we did this, it's why? I mean, why would you buy something that's already clearly moved on, and what value do you have with it? And there's a number of reasons why we did it. It is extremely important to Xyratex. We have created a product that's robust and reliable, and it has a lot of scalability, and has, as we're going to test later on today or tomorrow through this week, is the record-breaking performance that you can get with the 2.x line. It's a demonstration of our commitment to the Lustre project. We're in this together. We're in this deeply, and we haven't been here 5 years ago or 6 years ago, but the people that are on our team, you know, come with that history all the way back from the beginning. So it was important for us to see this happen, and we were able to do that, and we moved forward. As far as the community, we wanted to convey that this Lustre technology, as Dave just pointed out, we do believe it's going to hit the exascale limit. And it's a commitment by companies, by ourselves and Intel and DDN and all the other parties here that are going to make sure that this technology is viable and continues to be successful for us to use it. And this was part of the effort that we undertook with getting this out of Oracle. And I'd like to use the word liberate from Oracle because it was getting stale. We all know that. And these are important resources. We still have, as from the earlier talk here, we have a lot of new people that have just started to get involved with Lustre, or this is the first time they're attending the meeting, and we don't have a lot of great sites for them to become better educated, and Lustre.org needs to be updated. And we have to sort of update these tools and see what we can do with it. And then lastly, it helps us build the relationships with the Oracle customers who rely on the Lustre file system. A lot of them are expanding their storage needs and their interest around Lustre beyond just what Oracle is doing, and so this gives them a transition and a path of growth for where they go next. So speaking of next, what happens next is really a couple things. One, we're already doing it. Xyratex, myself, I've been involved in the CWG and the TWG and reaching out to the board, which I'm a member of, for OpenSFS, to express, you know, our desire to see how we can exploit these tools. But a great extent of this relies on you as a community to give some input, to tell us, like, what do we want to do with it. We've got documentation update strategies, we've got general education needs, we've got to get your input on how we do that. And I think one of the most effective ways that we can probably gather that, given we've done a couple surveys in the last couple months, is that we're going to push out this week a survey that will gather some interest, to give Xyratex some input of like what the community is looking. So everyone here will be invited to participate in that. We'll put it on the major distribution and mailing lists. But we want to get your input of like, what do you want to see? I think if I could just get a show of hands, I think we would all agree that Lustre.org is stale, and if it's going to continue, it's going to need some updating. So we have to move this technology along properly if it's going to be useful for us. But we're a vendor, and so we're one of the vendors that's in this game. And as I mentioned, we have a storage platform that's committed to using this technology, but if we're going to play a role in the community too, we have to keep this vendor neutral. And so there's some fundamental commitments that we're making to all of you that we want to ensure that our message is strongly made, that we've got to keep these assets vendor neutral, and that we'll assure that if there's contributions to something that Xyratex owns or manages, it's not going to become Xyratex property. It will continue to be your property, and we'll make whatever other assurances you would feel that would make you comfortable in moving forward with such contributions. The trademark protection is a really important part. If we don't do it, it goes away, and it's an important asset. As we think of something that's going to be used for the next couple years, at least, you know, as we think that it has a lifespan of the next 10 years, it would be a terrible shame to have Lustre all of a sudden be associated with, you know, someone else's file system that it has no Lustre heritage. But if we don't maintain the trademark and protect it, then we all lose the benefit of what we've been investing for the last 10 years. So we will defend and keep that. And then lastly, we're committed to keeping this an open and constructive and productive discussion, and we're looking for that kind of input. It is important for us to work together, and so we'll do our part to help with that. Now, probably the most controversial point is the copyright. It's something that we own right now through the original portion of Lustre, but a lot of Lustre is now advanced. So what does that mean? We know that we're forging together a community canonical release of Lustre, and how it's been moving forward the last couple of years, it's been now an amalgamation of different copyright contributions and splintering of the ownership. And it's really not clear that anything has to change. I'm not going to get up here today and say, hey, we got to do something different. But But I also think we need to sort of challenge everybody and say, is that what we want to do? Is that the future that we want? We know that other open source technologies like Apache and Mozilla, even the kernel.org, actually have a foundation that hosts the copyright of the product, and it becomes an asset for the organization. It's something that you can actually go to a bank and reference as an asset that you can take a loan out on, or you can get investment around it. And that's something that might be in the future, but we're not certainly saying from our standpoint, since we've got this from Oracle, this is exactly what we have to do. It's a possibility. And again, it's going to be based on the input you provide, the demands and the needs that you present. We have that option now. We certainly didn't have the option when I was at Oracle, because they don't freely give away their copyright. But when we swept up all those assets, we wanted to make sure that that copyright came over with those things so that we had this option. And so I'll leave it at that, but it could be a topic that you may be asked to be engaged in the future, to put your input in and tell us what you think or what we need to do as a community. So with that, I'll thank you, express my appreciation for the support that many of you guys lent us through this effort of getting it moved into a more community-centric space, these assets. I'm open to talk to you guys further about it. We have myself and Michael Connolly, we kind of tag team on the events and the user groups and the alliances that we have. I'm very active in the EOFS organization in Europe, and so from a European standpoint, we're not entirely looking at this as like a North American effort. We want to. This is a global effort, so we want to get those inputs in as well, and open to those inputs from you. So thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Kevin.